Hello. Dwayne?
Good morning.
Good morning. So, we're having a friendly discussion here. When was shared parenting 50-50 kind of the norm?
Actually, shared parenting has never been a norm in the United States, actually across the world, but it has never been the case. There's a video that goes more into it on my website, but basically, divorce and custody wasn't really an issue because divorce was very rare up until about 1969.
Okay.
And that was when, then Governor Ronald Reagan in California passed no-fault divorce. And if you look at, if you go to the website, watch the video, you can see the two graphs that I have. But up until 1969, divorce was rare because, again, it just didn't happen. After that happened, then actually divorce skyrocketed because there was, people with bad marriages and things like that, and it became kind of the law of the land because the rest of the states followed suit. But then the big thing happened in the 70s and early 80s where basically the feminist revolution, the changing norms, people going to work, things like that happened, and then divorce skyrocketed. It actually went through the roof, and then what unfortunately happened was all these people that were divorced now that didn't, it was a single income home, they found themselves on welfare.
Okay.
Then when that happened, 1975, I think it was under Johnson's, passed a law trying to fix the problem. Because what had happened is after those divorces happened, now women went on welfare because they didn't have jobs, they couldn't afford to make it, there was no money available, they lost their houses, cars, etc. And so they went on welfare. Then the states started basically going bankrupt because they were paying for welfare and programs and things like that. And actually, if you go on the site, you can see the dependence on the government numbers skyrocket during that same period. Well, when the states started reaching out to the federal government saying, we can't afford to pay all of this, all this welfare, things like that. They passed, I think it was 1975, the AFDC Act, I think it was AFDC, which basically gave incentives to the states to start to help collect child support, identifying fathers and things like that to try to recoup some of those funds. Again, child support and those type of things, when it first started, was actually a good program. Well, the problem is whenever you get the government involved, over time, the government started figuring out that if they started, really working on child support and things like that, they could actually, quote, make money.
Okay.
And then, it gets a little bit worse. In the 1996, Bill Clinton did the child recovery. I'm trying to remember what it's actually called. It's actually getting on the pissedofparents.com website. But when that was passed, it basically required that states do the child support collections and things like that, or they would lose their federal funding. And the way that works is when a child support payment is made or identification or for identifying a parent for child support, the federal government then mails money back to the states for those efforts.
Is that where the 67 cents or 68 cents on every dollar?
66 cents. Yeah, 66 cents in every dollar is that recovery. And again, it's all in the main part of the website because you can see those numbers roll out. But so when, to kind of fast forward, is when a person makes their child support payment, which has to go through in Texas through Austin, the Child Support Recovery Division. When they make their child support payment, then the state sends notice to the federal government saying that they have enforced child support. Because again, all wage garnishments, which is what most of these are done through, is the enforcement aspect of it. So when, say if you have to pay $1,000 a month in child support, they then send notice that they've collected $1,000 in child support, and then at that point, in addition to other pieces, there's actually more to it, then they would get that, quote, 66% recovered. It's not new money. but it's recovered back from the federal government, your tax dollars. So then the state would get the 66 cents. There's actually another part of it, as Ken Paxton pointed out, out of 2,400 employees at the Office of the Attorney General, 66% of those are paid by child support dollars. That's pretty much all they ever do is child support. They don't handle normal Office Attorney General items. They're all focused on child support, which is, again, why they receive a bonus check. There's also a federal incentive that if a state collects a certain percentage, which I believe it's worth 12 cents to every or $12 to every dollar that we spend on it, they receive a bonus check. Last year, the state of Texas got a $88 million bonus check for the child support collections, and that's separate from everything else.
Wow.
There's grants, there's other pieces in there. On average, just from the federal government, yours, mine, everyone's tax dollars, they received, I think, around $888 million, and that doesn't even include the interest that they get on delinquent child support and everything else. And that's the reason why the judges, legislators, and everyone will not pass equal shared parenting because, well, unlike my case personally, but if you pass equal shared parenting, then there's not really a need for child support.
Right.
So if there's not a need for child support, then they don't get that money, so they're not going to do that.
So that's a battle that we can't win.
Not at the legislative, the judge level, because again, the judges, they're paid through the state, so they're worried about their pensions and things like that. They're not going to allow 50-50 to work because, aside from the little the things that they have with the law firms and other programs, they're not going to push for 50-50. And actually, you heard Judith Wells in the last session. She was the only judge to call in to the Equal Shared Parenting Bill, HB 850, I believe, or 805, which was the Equal Shared Parenting Presumption Bill. She was the only judge in the entire state to call in and say she did not want to do 50-50.
Wow. Now, Judith Wells is retiring, correct?
Right. So she'll be using her pension.
Yeah. Okay, Dwayne, I will holler at you later, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Okay, y'all heard it. Now, he is a numbers man and can, off the top of his head, pretty much tell you the real deal. So that's why I wanted to hear it from him. So, in a way, the Child Support Act is a good thing, I guess. When you stop and think about it, that pays these judges. Of course, these judges, though, are doing a terrible job, in my opinion. Some of them, not all of them, but with the cases that we've kind of been hearing, it's just been a nightmare. And, well, I tell you what, if you've never had to go through it, which I haven't, it's not a big deal to you. You know, it's not affecting me, so sorry for those people, but I'm not going to be worried about it because it doesn't affect me. But I think in a way it affects us all. We all are our brother's keeper, and we should all be concerned when parts of our community are not treated fairly. So I think what has happened since they've enacted all of this stuff, since divorce now is prevalent, before, just like Dwayne said, in the 60s, people didn't even think about divorce. It was the party, usually the female, just had to stick it out and be abused and this, that, and the other. So how can we fix this child support problem? Rhonda, it does affect all of us, but the kids suffer the most. Yeah, no, it does affect all of us. But like I've said many times, when you've got a group of people, which is the family courts, and you've got the state of Texas, which is making millions of dollars, I don't think you're going to get anybody to vote a change on that. That's like people that say, I lost my train of thought. Oh, people that say, let's have term limits. That'll never happen. The people that vote on term limits is the people that are in office that we're trying to get out. I mean, whether they're good or bad, if we say you can only run 2 terms, hell, there's people up there been there 40, 50 years. Joe Biden's been up there 50 years. So it's hard to believe that we could get those same legislatures to vote on something that will be a detriment to their income or their livelihood or whatever. So I think our best bet is to work on this judge issue when we see that's what these groups are all about. If somebody is not doing a proper job, then we talk about it on these groups to try to make voters aware of it. And then when time to vote, you get those people out of office. People that abuse the system. And I think we've got some right now. We've got some judges that are going to step down, retire. They might see the handwriting on the wall. I don't know. Like I say, I was not aware of any of this up until about 2 months ago. 2 months ago is when I became involved. One of our members made me aware of all this stuff, and I thought, holy smoke, how could any of this be possible? But it is. So what we need to do is get more people involved in our discussions and spread the word so that come election time, the bad actors are no longer in power. So the thing that we need to do is try to concentrate our efforts on something that we can make a difference on. And that would be the election or re-election of these judges. Some of these judges now, I've actually interviewed, and Lori DeAngelis has been on several times. Randy Harton has been on. There's one lady that, Cynthia Terry, she's actually been on some of our discussions. I don't think she's actually commented, but she's liked things. So public awareness is what changes things. When it's business as usual in whatever office, district attorney, family court judge, criminal court judge, misdemeanor judge, county judge, mayor, any of those offices, when there is abuse or mishandling of the person that's in charge, the way they're running or performing their duties, then when we see it, we can start discussing it here, and then you can make your own decision whether you should vote for that person again. There's some real nightmare stories out here, and I'm going to try to get most all of them made public to y'all. So if anybody that's listening would like to come on and tell us your story, how you've been affected, how your children have been affected, and if you don't have a gag order, then I'd love to have you on. You just need to contact me. I would suspect that some of these gag orders are being issued now are strictly because of this group, or our public awareness, the big group, Fort Worth Memories. We are definitely bringing to light a lot of issues that have been kind of in the dark, not talked about. Got a gag order, can't say anything about it. Well, I don't have any gag order. I do have a dog in this fight, and it's y'all, the people that are getting run over. We just can't keep allowing that to happen. This movement is no different than any other movement. It just doesn't have enough publicity yet, but we're growing. The people that are in charge of our courts, or the people that are affecting a lot of these nightmare stories, they're aware we're here. And we're going to continue to talk about it until we get something done. A lot of y'all that are in the fight right now for your whole being. I mean, some of these attorney fees just wipe out whatever you've worked all of your life for, and it's all because you're kids. You can't put a price on children. I was reminded of that by an attorney who, in my opinion, was bragging about it. This is something you should not be bragging about. You should definitely earn a living, but there should be a known hourly wage or whatever. I've heard stories of people paying for pencils and paper at an outrageous rate. So, you know, usually, take for instance the May 95 hailstorm. We had roofers come in here from all over, 4 or 5 states. And by the way, that May 95 hailstorm, I believe, is still the largest claim insurance paid out ever in the state of Texas. I was told that by a guy from FEMA. He told me that in Tarrant County, they replaced 70% of all roofs, residential and commercial, from that May 95 hailstorm. We had roofing companies in here for years. Well, some of these guys that came in were bad actors. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. They took advantage of the situation. They knew people had insurance money. Insurance companies were just saying, just get it fixed. Just get back in business. I know my shop was located on West 5th Street, and Paul Bounds, who was the person in charge of code enforcement, he came through there and said, you don't have to worry about pulling any electrical permits, any permits at all, just get open. So they relaxed the laws to get everybody back in business, which still took years. You remember those police cars? God, they were embarrassing. Big craters. And at the very start, I'd say the first 18 months, you had roofing companies coming in here, and they would get started on your roof, collect your check, and then go start on another roof. There was one guy that I personally helped bring down, had 53 roofs started, and the day I caught up with them, it was about 1 o'clock, they were all at the beer joint drinking beer, and there's none of his employees working on the roofs. They actually put that guy in jail. Fraud, I think, is what it was called. So when we have a group of our citizens that are just being overrun with ridiculous stuff, i.e. David Henderson's case, then the rest of us need to take action. You can take action right here on this group. You can let your voice be told or be heard. So we're going to keep beating the drum. We're going to keep standing with our brothers and sisters that are in peril because of unfair rulings that make no sense by courts that think they have no oversight committee. Well, you do. It's called Fort Worth Memories. And we're going to keep beating the drum until something changes. Just like I was talking to somebody last night, and I said, eventually, a small player in this conspiracy, there's more than one actors involved in this stuff. You've got the law firms, then you've got the courts that are giving favorable rulings, and at the law firms, you have to bring in your financials the very first visit. So, well, all you got to do is get a hold of me, and we'll let you come in and tell your story. So there is a number of people that are acting together to cover everybody's rear end, and everybody makes a living. The problem with that, with everybody keeping their mouths shut, is that some of these players have employees that work for them, say lawyers or judges, that they don't treat good, don't give them a part of the ill-gotten whatever, and when they leave, get fired or quit, they got a story to tell. And guess what? Those folks are contacting me. Okay, so I've got to get on and do another live on the big group. Don't forget, today at 10, we've got Jeff Marshall, our guy on the border. He's been down there 2 or 3 times. He's going to tell us the real deal, what's really going on down there. We need to get Victor Avila, get him doing some phone-ins. He's equally knowledgeable about what's happening on the border. Give me about 5 minutes and catch me on FWM.